I want to give you this update on Julian Assange, and this is good news, although most of what's coming out about Assange has been bad news, both his health and the fact that they very well may extradite him in the middle of the night and no one's going to be ready for it. And that's the part of their goal, that there would be no protest before he's actually extradited, because we will wake up one morning and they will say he's in the U.S. And they can do that because there's no he has no connection to the outside world unless they want him to. So a windowless van leaves Belmarsh prison, goes to an airport in the middle of the night, and arrives in the United States. We're going, if he's extradited, we will find out once he's on American soil. And that's how horrifying this is. But here is a positive update. Julian, this is from The Guardian, which is largely a pile of shit these days. But anyway, Julian, and by the way, The Guardian also one of the outlets that threw Julian Assange under the bus. They worked with him extensively before the U.S. empire decided he was going to be, enemy number one. And then The Guardian just hurled him under the bus. Couldn't throw him under the bus fast enough. Julian Assange, more than 60 Australian MPs urged the U.S. to let the WikiLeaks founder walk free. 60 Australian members of parliament. In case I need to remind you, Julian Assange is an Australian citizen, and he's in Britain, in prison, and he has never operated from the United States. He's not an American citizen, doesn't have an American corporation, never lived in America, none of those things. Yet we're trying to prosecute him under our laws for telling the truth about crimes that America has done, that the United States has done. Anyway, that's why this is important that it's Australia. 60 Australian federal politicians have explicitly called on the U.S. to drop the prosecution of Julian Assange, warning of a sharp and sustained outcry in Australia if the WikiLeaks founder is extradited. With a small cross-party delegation due to fly to Washington next week, The Guardian can reveal the lobbying trip has won the open support of 63 members of Australia's House of Representatives and Senate. So this is a big move. It's also got the support of the Prime Minister of Australia, who I'm glad he's supporting it. He says he's brought up the issue to Biden, but he's also said that's all he can do. Like just a weak little, I tried. I told the old guy there that's sitting there that I would prefer that Julian Assange come back to his home country, but I can't. That's all I can do, really. So it's a lot of that shit. However, this is big to have this many members of parliament in Australia fighting for Assange's freedom at this pivotal moment when we all fear that he may be extradited tomorrow without so much as a fucking phone call to his wife or anything. So be ready for that. If that happens, we got to protest like we've never protested before if he is extradited. But, obviously continue the protest now as well. And I will continue to bring you updates. This is the most horrific. I mean, what this means for journalism, not just for Assange himself, is just unbelievable. That the U.S. mainstream media and UK mainstream media are not standing up for him is insane. And I don't mean one little article. There was one article by the New York Times saying he should be freed. I'm talking every goddamn day, because if the U.S. can say to any journalist around the fucking world, fuck, that they dislike what he said, and therefore he or she said, and therefore they grab them, ship them to the United States, and put them in solitary confinement, which is torture, for the rest of their lives. How is that not U.S. world fascist law? How is that freedom of press? Not just freedom of press here in the U.S., but freedom of press anywhere. Like, you should all be fucking terrified of that. And yet instead, these people are such bootlickers at these journalistic outlets that claim to be journalistic outlets, these media organizations, that they will not fight against it. They just back down. They're just quiet, silent, nothing.